Hey guys, what's up? This is Meathead Mikkel from meatheadgaming.com, and today I want to make a video talking about how to gear up quickly. So, at the time of this recording, I've played maybe about 24 hours or so, maybe just a little bit under, and I'm already to a point where, as I'll show you guys, I can basically one-shot everything on Torment 1, with the exception of elites, obviously, but everything dies very, very quickly. And this is all using, basically a combination of rerolled rares. So all enemies except for like the really tough ones get popped in one hit. And there's nothing really to it. I'm now at a point where I'm playing through Torment 3, and this is very shortly after release. So let me just go ahead and take on this elite for you guys, so you can see that for the most part I can even face tank most of these mobs. So there we go. So how do you do this? Because I didn't really start this with any kind of gear, and the gear that I did have, I've replaced all of it. So I'm going to explain to you how you can do the same. And one of the things that Blizzard did, which is really nice, is they kind of created this complex system of bounties and rifts, and then blood shards for items, and also crafting and salvaging and enchanting. And when you combine all those things, they play into each other very, very well. Where you could do a bounty, you could get some rift keys, you could do a rift, you get some blood shards, and then you can gamble for some gear that has really nice properties. If you find absolutely nothing, it's all trash, salvage all of it. Now you can craft up some items that might be better. If one of those items that you gamble is nice, then you can enchant it, and reroll like another property, and then you end up with very, very nice gear. So here's where I'm at, guys. Over 1 million damage, 8.5 mil toughness, fully buffed, and I'm working on getting the highest level gems as well. So, and let me just go through my gear real quick. I'll tell you guys, how I got it, and then I'll explain how you can do the same. So, I believe I got this from gambling for blood shards, and everything was good on it except for, like, you just want 3 good primary properties and then reroll the 4th one. So I rerolled the movement speed on this, because you don't want movement speed anywhere. You want to get your movement speed from Paragon points, because primary item slots are a lot more valuable. So I rerolled the movement speed here to arcane orb damage, and this right here, I used to have a legacy tall orb here with a socket, had good damage, had AP on crit chance, everything, but this ended up being better. And it took me a while to get something that had both high int and vitality and AP on crit, and then I just rerolled the last property to crit chance. And like a really, really high-end triumvirate from Legacy will still probably be better than this, but not by like a mile. So in that case, like, yeah, you might keep it, but for the most part, no. Pans, again, I think I actually may have crafted these. I don't remember, but again, this rolled with 2 good properties, sockets, and then I rerolled the armor on it, or rerolled the last property to armor. These were both drops. I just rerolled the primary on this one to get some int, and this one I haven't even touched. This one just dropped like this just because there's really nothing to touch. I mean, I don't really want to waste money trying to reroll the crit damage to something higher, because I might get a replacement soon, but who knows, I might. Gloves. It took me a little while to find these, but this is actually something I found just playing through and picking up everything off the ground. It came with crit chance, attack speed, and int, and then I rerolled the last property, which was actually a really high vitality roll. It was like 600 into crit damage, so I can have a nice trifecta. Shoulders, once again, I've gone through several versions, upgrading them kind of as I went along. Each one rolled higher and higher and higher, to the point where I got something that this isn't, obviously it's not perfect, it could be better, but for a rare, this is very close to perfect rolls. So helm, for a while I had one that had a socket on it, but I don't really need that extra toughness from the amethyst gem, so I just rerolled this one that I found. I rerolled the 4th property on it to arcane orb damage, because even this doesn't tell me the entire story, because on top of this I also have 12% arcane orb damage here, 14% here, that's 26%, and I also have 14% here. So basically I have, like, it's not exactly additive, but I'm going to add it anyway. I'll say like 40% extra damage for my main damage spell that isn't even shown in this character sheet. But this is another item I found, and just re-rolled the int on it. This actually rolled already correctly, but the int was a little low, and it had good cold skill damage, it had good crit chance, and it had good vitality, and I just had to roll the int a little bit higher. I went through about 3 bracers before this, also found all of them, and they were just lower stats. This one, this amulet took me a little while. This is a gambled amulet from Blood Shards, and it rolled int, very high all resist, and a pretty good roll on crit damage. So then I just had to spend a little bit of time to get the crit chance on there. And rerolling amulets is a little bit harder. It can get pretty expensive, and it is harder to get, the either crit chance or high crit damage roll, simply because there's so many other rolls that it can have that it just has a larger pool to select from. But guys, it's worth it. It's worth rerolling this. And this 90 all resist is better than the 500 to 600 vitality that you're going to get on it, because of how you stack your toughness and how it works with healing. I explained this in previous videos. And this is the only item I'm using that's from 2.0. And the reason I'm keeping this one is because of the attack speed on it. I can roll a rare that'll drop my overall DPS by about 4% and maybe give me like 8% or so toughness, but I don't want to drop my damage anymore. So until I get a legendary, this is going to stay. But this is the only leftover piece I have. And this is the first legendary that I found. It did not have a socket. It had vitality and int, and I rerolled the vitality to a socket. But this helps a lot because it's over 2k. It's a slow attacking weapon, so it doesn't burn through my AP as much, and it's got the damage against elites, which is huge for Rift, because there's elites like every 15 seconds or so you run into a pack. That's just how they are, and so this goes a long way. So anyway, that out of the way, let's talk about how can you actually find these items and roll up to them and that sort of thing. First, you will find legendaries, but you really got to be careful about what you want to reroll or not, because rerolling legendaries is not cheap. And I'll give you guys a couple examples. So for example, I found this Blind Faith. Not worth rerolling at all, because I can reroll like a socket or crit chance on here, but then I wouldn't have my mitigation. So I could kind of do it, but like I would like to have int and then either vitality or armor or all resist or something, and then have crit chance and arcane orb damage. But this has 2 properties that I would want to reroll, so I'm not going to waste resources trying to get something good on here, because it's very expensive. Belt, this rolled nice. This is what I was talking about. This is a 70 version that I found. But again, I could reroll the magic missile damage to armor or all resist or something, but I don't want to give up the 3% damage. It's just not worth it to me at this point. Maybe when I hit a higher tournament I will, but I'm going to keep that the same. And some of these items just aren't worth it. Like this, I could reroll this to a socket, but the Sunkeeper has a better modifier, so it's not worth rerolling. So not everything you find is worth rerolling. And I know that sounds kind of obvious, but I'll explain why. Because rares are actually pretty cheap to reroll. Legendaries are not. So if I want to enchant, like for example, I found this Talraj's amulet, and it's got pretty decent rolls on it, and this is going to be very nice. I mean, I'm only down 5% damage over what I have now, and if I rerolled this to crit chance, like if I rerolled that either vitality or the damage modifier to crit chance, yeah, I'd be sitting pretty. However, look at the cost. Not even just the mats, but I need a flawless Imperial Ruby. So, if you get lucky and you find 3 Imperial Rubies, then yes, you gotta get 3 of them to drop, to do this. Otherwise, if you're just getting marquees, 9 marquees for 1 reroll. So this isn't cheap. So you got to make sure that if you're going to be rerolling legendaries or set items at 70, that you absolutely know what you want to reroll, and it's all the other rolls are good and that sort of thing. You know, this is a little bit better. It's more reasonable, and I could get an upgrade to my shoulders from this, and I may spend the resources to do it, but I don't know. It's still kind of pricey. So for the most part, until you get a bunch more legendaries and you kind of get to the level where I'm at, you're going to want to focus on rares. And the cool thing about rares is it's really cheap to reroll. All you need is these materials that you get from blues and yellows. If you want to reroll gloves, for example, yeah, the arcane dust is a little higher, but veiled crystal, you only need 1. Want to reroll bracers? They're the cheapest, just 1 and 1 a piece, and you can reroll this all day long. So, I'm not going to reroll this any higher because it's already at 402 out of 415. Rings, they're a little pricey because you need the Death's Breath, we'll just call it DB. This is like the new demonic essence. So rerolling rings is a little bit pricey too. Sources, not too bad, but not super cheap either. So I wouldn't mess with that. Boots are expensive. You need 2 DBs. So it kind of depends on the slot. Like weapons, you gotta have your Forgotten Soul anytime you reroll a legendary. But also a DB for this one, and 16 veiled crystals. So not cheap. If you were going to reroll 60 items, then it's going to use 60 mats. So if you have them saved up, then you just reroll as much as you want. But this is already maxed for me, so no point in taking this any further. And you're going to replace, within 24 hours, you will replace everything unless you have like really, really perfect legacy gear. So either like for a wizard it would be a very high-end triumvirate, or like a perfectly rolled witching hour. So like 9 attack speed, 50 crit damage, you got your int, and then you also have like all resist and life percentage, or armor and life percentage, or armor all resist. The stats that still carry over into Reaper of Souls pretty well. But other than that, it's going to be all new gear. And when you first start kind of doing this, the first thing you're going to want to do is upgrade all of your artisans to their max level. And I've already done it, but for the most part, you just need a bunch of DBs. So make sure that you farm elites as much as possible. Torment 1 shouldn't be very hard, but the quicker you level them up, the quicker you're going to be able to craft items and craft up gems. I would recommend that you actually level up your jewel crafter first, because it's cheaper, you don't need as much DBs, and just out the gate you're going to be finding a lot of gems. You're going to find a lot of marquee gems, and if you start on Torment 1, then you're going to be finding a lot of you're going to find a few Imperial gems as well, and that's going to give you a huge boost, because most people are starting out with Radiant Stars, if even that. So you're looking at 58 versus 100. It's almost double. An Imperial Topaz is going to give you almost double your int right off the bat. And this is very, very easy to craft up, but you need to upgrade your Covetous Shen to this level to do it. So I would actually upgrade him first, because you're going to get all the way up to, I believe, I don't remember exactly, but I believe you can get, because I already did this, I think Flawless Imperial is actually the highest. Or maybe it was Imperial. No, I think it's Flawless Imperial was the highest that you could get, and then you have to find recipes for the rest of them. But, obviously the highest rolled is a Flawless Raw Ruby. And even after a day of playtime, I'm getting pretty close to having one of, each type. I just need to find the recipes to do so. So level up your artisan or your jewel crafter first. That's going to be the cheapest way, and it's going to give you the quickest way to progress into the better gear and killing things quicker and finding even better gear faster. Then I would go, once you have him maxed, I would go to Miriam and upgrade her. Don't even worry about the blacksmith yet, because you're not going to be, the only reason you need to upgrade the blacksmith is to craft the level 70 legendaries and set items, but all of those, every last one, requires legendary mats, and unless you have those mats and the recipe, then you're like, it's just a waste, at first. So don't like upgrade him last, because you're not really even going to craft rares, and I'll show you guys why that much. But anyway, upgrade her, because with each upgrade you get to, you get more transmogs, but mainly like each next level will unlock, transmogging pants, transmogging chest armor, transmogging rings, transmogging amulets, and so on and so forth. So you want to get all the way up to the highest level, so that, excuse me, not transmog, enchant, so that you can re-enchant everything. And you're going to get to a point within a few hours where you're getting a ton of DBs, more than you actually need for rerolling, because you're going to get some gear that's already pretty good. Like, yeah, I could, probably reroll the crit damage, try to reroll the crit damage to 50%, but that's just silly. Like, my chances of doing that are slim to none at this point, and this is still a rare. So you're going to get to a point where you have pretty good rares, and there's just not a whole lot you can do without getting like a better base item, and then you're going to start stocking up on these. So you want to make sure that you upgrade her first, and that way you can start rerolling gear and getting sockets on your gear and upgrading your gems, because that's going to be your quickest way to progress. And then finally you're going to go to the blacksmith. But again, here they don't even, like, armor, for example, doesn't roll some kind of primary stat. Like, yes, there is smart loot, and you will probably get your primary stat, but it's still not guaranteed. It's not like the level 60 Archon armor, which you're guaranteed a certain primary roll, and then the rest are whatever. Here, you're not even like really guaranteed that, and the range is actually pretty wide too. So it's not really worth. And the mat requirements are pretty high as well. Like, you need 4 DBs just to craft 1 Archon belt, and so it's not really worth it to craft rares. The only thing that's worth it to craft are legendaries, but for legendaries you need some things. Like, yeah, these, now that I look at it, I should probably go ahead and get myself some bracers and craft one of these up. So I wouldn't worry about crafting anything that's not a legendary or a set item. Like this one, I need a mat for. I did get the hallowed set, but I need the angelic shard, and I haven't found one yet, so can't make it yet. The white items are really easy to farm. So anyway, that's kind of how you want to progress for, like, that's the order that you want to progress in to upgrade your gear quickly. And another big thing that's going to help you out in a big way is pick up everything. Like, literally everything off the ground. It's all useful, because all of these items that you're going to be crafting and you're not going to be crafting much, but that you're going to be enchanting and just over and over and over and over, you need these mats. And so to do that, and you're going to need the gems, and you're going to have to pick up the gems to upgrade your gems. So pick up everything off the ground. Yes, it kind of sucks in group play, especially if you're doing like rifts. Halfway through the rift, you'll have to portal out, and what I like to do is I like to keep a couple stash tabs empty. So if we're like mid rift, I'll just portal out, have this filled up, put it all here, and then just jump right back in. And after these two are filled up, I'll just we'll take a little break, and I'll spend a few minutes. I'll go through all the gear, make sure none of it's an upgrade, and then toss out the rest. And eventually you're going to stop doing this, because eventually you're going to get to a point where all of your items are legendaries, and rares are not going to compete with those legendaries. So then yeah, you're going to leave all that crap on the ground. For the most part, you'll probably even leave gems on the ground because you're going to have all the gems that you need. Maybe you'll pick them up, but for the most part, you're going to leave stuff on the ground. But for now, while the game is fresh and until you're all decked out in legendaries, which no one is going to be for some time, then pick everything up. It's going to help you progress, and it's going to help you get into those higher tournament difficulties quicker. So anyway, guys, don't want to make this too long. Just really, if nothing else, upgrade your Jewel Crafter first, then the Mystic, and make sure you just gamble and enchant your gear over and over and over and over until you get exactly what you want. Pick up everything off the ground, because you're going to get to like a sweet spot very quickly after just a few hours of gameplay where you're getting more mats than you're spending. And that's when it becomes fun, and that's when you can kind of start focusing on finding legendaries. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. This is Meathead Mikkel from meatheadgaming.com. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Tell me what you guys are looking for in terms of progression, like what you need help with to progress, and I'll see what I can do. So this is still Wizard Week. I'm still focusing on the Wizard. Next week I'm going to be doing Crusader. So anyway, thumbs up if you liked the video, and I'll see you guys soon.